building an excellent membership club, and a club where people enjoy talking to each other just as much as they, enjoy watching the price action or like finding out what the next thing that the team is going to do, etc. And that I think is why there is such an insanely strong community with DeGods and y00ts at the core.
Amazing, man.
Good evening. In today's video, I want to discuss why I believe DeGods and y00ts could be the next Bored Ape Yacht Club. We're going to go through everything that you need to know in regards to these two collections, why I've become so bullish and so interested in these collections, and basically everything you need to know. If you're new here, my name's Emil and this is Compound Interesting. I like to talk about crypto investing and NFTs. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. So the first thing we like to do when we're researching a project, the first thing I like to do, probably one of the most important aspects to a project, is of course the founder of the project or the leader of the project. And in this case we have Frank DeGods, probably just killing it recently. Everyone in the NFT space kind of coming to the same conclusion that he is one of the GOATs in the NFT space. So here's this guy Frank DeGods. His real name is Rohan Vorha. Let's go through his kind of background and then we'll go into the actual interesting history behind DeGods and y00ts and all the lore behind all those collections. So Rohan Vorha started immigrant family. It's kind of a classic story. Immigrant parents from India, really hardworking, and that kind of gave him, the inspiration to be hardworking himself. So at the age of 14 he wanted to get into the film industry, so he started working at the age of 14, like 14-hour days, skipping school in the film industry, managed to work his way up in the film industry. So yeah, starting at a pretty early age and kind of the hard-working entrepreneurial side of things. You can kind of see already there's an interest in culture. It's not just hard-working tech or hard-working just for the sake of money. He was interested in culture from an early age and film and stuff like that, which is kind of important in the NFT space. Let's have a look at some of his early startups. When he was in college, he got into Y Combinator with this business, basically delivering meals on scooters within 10 minutes to college dorms. So he got into Y Combinator, and then Shan Puri, make sure you watch this video, it's very funny. Shan Puri, a famous entrepreneur, pretty famous entrepreneur, tried to hire him. Frank was interested in being hired, but by the time Shan Puri got back to him, he had already started DeGods and was unavailable to work. Here, watch this clip.
The other guys we tried to hire at Milk Road, he was a young guy, 20, 21 years old. He was working at Main Street at the time. And I love this guy's tweets. I thought he was interesting, and he would tweet out these like little random websites he was making on the weekend that were like just super simple, like kind of like it's either gonna go viral or this is the dumbest thing ever. There's no in between. And I was like, dude, I love this guy. I told Ben, I was like, hey, we should hire this guy. He's like, what's he gonna do? I go, I don't know. We should just have him do what he's doing now, but without his full-time job. Like, what if we just gave him more time to do the stupid shit he's doing on the weekends, Monday through Friday instead? And so I talked to him.
He'll figure it out.
I talked to him and I was like, hey, dude, I think this Milk Road thing's gonna work. It was super early. We were like, I don't know, 4 weeks into it or something. And I was like, I think this thing's gonna work. You should join. He's like, same thing. What am I gonna do? I go, just do weird, Rohan stuff that you do. Just go ahead and do that. He's like, when do you want to start? Like tomorrow? And I was like, no. Like I'm traveling. I'm gonna be back on Wednesday. Let's talk on Wednesday, which is like 4 or 5 days away. Fatal mistake. Classic 34-year-old mistake, thinking that the world's not going to change in 4 days. This guy's in those 4 days, he ends up launching an NFT project that goes super viral, ends up making so much money. He goes and becomes this anonymous account, Frank DeGods, and he created the DeGods project. I can talk about it now because he's like out publicly, but for a while I was like, what the fuck is this? And so I kept trying to hit him up, be like, what happened? I didn't know he was the guy behind DeGods, and so I was like, dude, what? You ghosting me? Like we had such a good idea. He's like, hey man, like 3 weeks later, he just resurfaced. He's like, sorry, bro. Like it was like no time had passed between our conversations. Like, oh yeah, about that. I don't know, man. I now I'm doing this other stuff. I got to do this. And I was like,
so in university or college, he was making these kind of funny websites. You might have seen this website where you can see if you had bought Bitcoin instead of the release of, for example, in this video, the Hunger Games cinema ticket, you'd have 2.7 Bitcoin or $62,000 when that came out. As you saw, unfortunately for Shan Puri, he just hired him at the exact wrong time, because that's when Frank DeGods, he wasn't slowing down. He was making all these kind of viral websites, and his next project was DeGods, and which turned out to be instantly a massive success. And was one of the few projects on Solana that didn't turn out to be a rug, and they kept actually working on it and trying to improve it. So let's talk about the early days in DeGods. Firstly, what is the culture? What are kind of the main selling points in regards to DeGods and y00ts? So DeGods was created by a group of hardworking entrepreneurial friends from an apartment, and that's kind of the feel that you get when you're like investing or you're aping into a DeGod or a y00ts. That's kind of the vibes that you get. It's kind of following these guys as they try to create this multi-million or billion-dollar brand from an apartment by just hustling, trying new things, being creative, being innovative. Why does it feel like that? It's because there's a huge amount of transparency throughout the whole process of everything they're doing. They kind of let you know, or they give you the behind the scenes of how they came to each decision that they made. I'll show you some examples as we go further. But yeah, they're really trying to build this crazy strong brand, this cult-like community, and they kind of have a target demographic. Like the brand itself is like, it's all male. The DeadGods are all male, so it's going after the kind of the crypto bros, the young kind of people in crypto, not the older people in crypto. It's kind of the college age people, or maybe a little bit older, the people who still like to kind of party, because the events when DeGods are always kind of crazy. They're a bit of a sausage fest. Maybe I'll show you some clips from them right here, but one of the things that they're well known for doing is doing shoeies. And if you don't know what a shoey is, maybe I'll let you Google that if you want. But yeah, they have these crazy parties. They have their target demographic nailed down, and yeah, there is good vibes if you're in that kind of, if you're one of those kind of crypto bros, like, potentially. But I suppose with DeadGods, when they originally created that's what they were going after, and that's what really clicked in the beginning. But then with y00ts, they kind of wanted to, open it up a little bit further to a separate community potentially, or a more wider ranging community of people.
One of the challenges, you have to go to a hot dog stand and ask to drink a cup of the hot dog water. Oh, it's pretty heinous, and like way too many people in the community have done this.
Oh my god!
But yeah, those are those videos that you made. When Drifter shoots, post those videos like of him over a skyline, and you feel queasy in your stomach. Yeah. It's kind of like that with the hot dog water.
Ooh, truly.
Yeah, so it's good content. It's that visceral feeling.
Has that become like a badge of honor, like the hot dog water?
Well, I hope.
Have you drank the hot dog water?
No. I have not.
Not yet.
Hey, Stefan, go get us a little bit of hot dog water.
We won't do that. He's busy right now.
Get him.
I totally would, but no, I think that there is this element where I think I learned it at UCLA college, like this idea of whether it's joining a fraternity, like the hazing rituals, whatever it is, and I think drinking from a shoe, doing dumb shit with your friends, as silly as it might sound, there's something that's intrinsic to human psychology that just makes that a bonding moment where you're gonna tell your friends that story. Yeah. You're gonna look stupid, whatever it is, but if you know, you know. And if you know, you might win a fucking DeGod by drinking the hot dog water. Hey, dude, for currently like about 20 bands, like, I mean, I think a lot of people would drink.
A lot of people would drink the hot dog
water.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would drink hot dog water, so.
The next really important part of the DeGods and y00ts ecosystem is their insane attention to detail. So let me show you a couple of examples, particularly with the artwork for both DeGods and y00ts. First, with DeadGods in the beginning, like, let me show you the original DeGods. This is a picture of the original DeGods, and yeah, they're kind of cool. They're a bit weird looking, to be honest. So they're like okay from a looks perspective, and Frank and the team weren't really super happy with them. Like, this was really early on, so like, your very first try at creating an NFT collection, maybe the colors might clash a bit, maybe the like traits might not work. Not every trait is going to work super well together, so they just redid everything. And if you wanted, you could change your DeGod into a DeadGod, and these are the DeadGods, like the updated version. You could burn your original DeGod to get one of these, plus a mint tube to be able to eventually get a y00ts. But this is the new art, so they put a huge amount of detail, they put a huge amount of effort into recreating the entire collection, and they did that again when they were coming out with the y00ts collection. So they wanted to, they had this kind of frat bro culture with DeGods, so they kind of wanted to branch out a bit and open it up. So that's where y00ts came in, and they didn't want to be just men or just gods or human-like, so they created this new character, this kind of yeti looking guy. So here I'm probably showing you like their first iterations of what they wanted, and they weren't really sure what they wanted, but like the really cool thing is that they were 100% transparent, like going through, like they've showed you their entire thought process from the very start to the very end of where they got to with y00ts. So you can see the entire thought process where they wanted to create a new kind of animal, but they didn't want it to be a bear, they didn't want it to be an ape for obvious reasons. So eventually they came across this kind of yeti looking figure, and these are all the different iterations, and they finally got to y00ts. And once they finally got to their y00ts, then like the attention to detail went even further than that. The amount of effort they put into even choosing all the different color combinations, you can read about it further. I'll link a full article about all their thought processes to finally get the y00ts collection to a standard that they wanted. They had built the entire y00ts collection, and everyone was getting ready for the mint. Everything was getting really hyped, and they were like, no, sorry, we're not ready yet, we're not happy with this collection, we're going to redo it entirely, and we're not going to drop another like mediocre collection, another okay collection. We wanted to drop like the perfect collection. So they delayed the mint, got footed loads, people were hating on them so much, but they just redid everything. And then you can see like here's some of the inspiration where they got for the colors. So they didn't want it to just be, they don't want it to be too colorful, they didn't want it to be too muted, and they just spent hours reading about different color palettes, reading all the literature on graphic design and stuff. So they eventually settled like, here are some inspirations for the artwork and for the color palettes. And so like they go into so much detail on just the colors for just the aesthetics of their new project. So they eventually kind of came up with the idea of just having mostly muted background, muted fur, and then having these kind of random splashes of color, potentially in like the eyewear or something like that. So the attention to detail with y00ts is one of the reasons, I think, personally, in my own personal opinion, I think y00ts is probably my favorite, like in terms of aesthetics, the most aesthetically pleasing NFT collection, like profile picture collection. It's probably my favorite. Maybe there's a couple of others that would be ranking up there, but just on a pure aesthetics basis, I think y00ts just looks so great personally. Now, you let me know what you think. What's your favorite profile picture collection just based on aesthetics? But I think they've really nailed the aesthetics with y00ts, and all the effort they put in really goes to show. I recommend you actually check out that article. It's actually really interesting. At the time, people were like, oh, the profile pictures are dead. No one really cares what the profile picture looks like. It's more important like what the team are doing, like what kind of bullish things are they doing. The actual art doesn't really matter. And Frank was like, no, the fucking art does really fucking matter. I'm going to put a huge amount of effort into making the best art that I possibly can, or that our team possibly can. And yeah, I think that was a really smart decision, to be honest. Another example of their attention to detail and work ethic of the team was just how seamless the bridge from Solana to Polygon and Ethereum was. If you don't know, essentially both of these collections, y00ts and DeGods, were both birthed on the Solana blockchain, and for whatever reason, Frank DeGods didn't want to stay on Solana. Essentially, there wasn't enough liquidity on Solana for where he wanted the collection to go. Like all the whales, there's just way more money on Ethereum. There's way more money that can invest in projects on Ethereum than at Solana. DeGods was like the biggest collection on Solana by so many orders of magnitude that it just made sense for him to move DeGods onto Ethereum. And at the same time, he wanted y00ts to try something new, so they bridged y00ts to Polygon. But apparently that whole process, like that's actually a really difficult thing to do, to be able to bridge assets from one blockchain to another. And apparently they just did it, so it was completely seamless, super easy and super fast. So that was another good example of their ability to do something well. And Frank DeGods has said like he would just scour through discords of different NFT projects, and he would just search DeGods, or he would search deadgods in those NFT discords, and just find out everything people were saying about DeGods, and trying to find anything people were saying bad about DeGods, and so he could fix that problem. Or he could see where all the competitors were saying, oh, DeGods does this well, DeGods does this poorly, I don't like DeGods because of this. So he would use that as information to make the collection better.
Well, I think the bigger the internet gets, the more you need to have a die-hard group of people that are excited about whatever you're doing. And without that, everything becomes a commodity. And so for us, I think it became abundantly clear early days when we first launched DeGods, the idea was to almost be a builder project. So people don't remember this because they don't talk about it. But the first thing that we launched with DeGods was our own custom marketplace. And barely anyone used it. They just used the main ones. And then we were like, okay, nobody wants the marketplace, and we're not that good at making a marketplace. Let's make a blogging tool for creators. So we made the first blogging tool on Solana that let you tip creators. And we spent a month and a half building out this entire tool, got a bunch of people to write for it, and nobody got excited about it after we launched it. Everyone dumped it. Everyone dumped DeGods. They were like, what's the point of this? Then we tried again, and we made a private Reddit-style forum called Palace. This is December 2021, and we kept taking these months to 2 month long developing periods where we try to build out this tooling for our holders, for the broader NFT ecosystem, whatever it is. And in the time in between, to buy ourselves time, we did these community bonding things. One of them was called DeGods Week, where we basically had a bunch of bounties, and we're like, hey, go do these bounties and you have a chance at winning a DeGod. And we were doing that to basically buy time as a side activity. And it wasn't until December 2021 where things were really capitulating and the community was just dying out that we realized, hey, this entire time we've been trying to quote unquote build utility. But what's the utility intrinsically that everyone really gets excited about and wants? It's the crazy shit. It's making friends in the community. It's seeing all these people rep DeGods in these insane ways. And there was this massive pivot we took coming into 2022 where we realized that the culture and the community is actually this intangible thing that people are looking for in NFTs. But because people are spending so much money on NFTs, they can't tell themselves or believe, hey, it's actually intangible value that's driving a vast majority of the market and this ecosystem. And so once we understood that, I think at the time, a more unique insight changed our entire approach. And now it's really just about building an excellent membership club, and a club where people enjoy talking to each other just as much as they, enjoy watching the price action or finding out what the next thing that the team is going to do, et cetera. And that I think is why there is such an insanely strong community with DeGods and y00ts at the core.
Amazing,
yeah.
So the cult-like community that DeGods or Franken's being able to create is one of the reasons I'm really interested in buying. I wouldn't be able to afford a DeGod, but I'm interested in buying a y00ts for 1.7 ETH, and I was so close to buying them when Solana was crashing. The Solana price was crashing because of the FTX fiasco, that the value of a y00ts went down to almost $500 in US dollars. And I was so close to buying it, but I actually didn't even have enough Solana to buy it at that point. And of course, money was very tight in that part of the bear market. So unfortunately, I just didn't have enough Solana to buy at that point, and I had no extra cash. So I couldn't even afford $500, unfortunately. But now they're 1.7 Ethereum, so about $3,000. And I'm still looking at it I want to buy at this price, even though I know potentially it's not the best price to be buying it. But sometimes you potentially have to pay a little bit higher than you'd want. I kind of got the same feeling when I bought my mutant ape. I bought it for 5 Ethereum, and yeah, that was not obviously, but that was by far the biggest investment I've ever made. But it did so well, and the reason I bought it was because I just really wanted one, and I'm kind of getting the same feeling with this y00ts. I just really want one. I like the aesthetics. Sometimes, that graph where you, the high IQ, the low IQ, sometimes the low IQ move, you just really want one because you like the profile picture art. That's kind of somewhat what I'm going with there. I don't want to mid-curve it and be the price is probably going to come down. But yeah, I'll see if I can grab the ETH together to be able to afford a y00ts. But yeah, it would be quite a big investment for me. I haven't made an investment like that in a while. But yeah, obviously not financial advice. Potentially they are quite overpriced and will probably come down in price to, I'm hoping, a more reasonable target that I could ape in, or I haven't fully made my decision if I'll be able to scrape the ETH together to buy one of these. But yeah, I'm really interested in buying one because of everything I've mentioned in this video. The legendary events, the insane culture, the insane cult-like culture that they've built, and the insane work ethic and crazy ideas that Frank has. So that's everything for this video. That's everything I know at the moment about DeGods and y00ts. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I hope it brought you value, maybe entertained you a little bit for a few minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.